Devlin, Untamed.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War, iOS, It's Only Sport, the name of our show, the only true independent daily sports show in this country. Listen live on the platform between 1 and 4. If you can't make it, then this is the next best thing, the highlights package of today. Dooley at the T20 World Cup, that's Simon Doull. His thoughts and comments on Captain Kane as coach. Greg Martin, always on a Thursday, the former Wallaby fullback. Significant today because today in 1987, the All Blacks won the Rugby World Cup for the very first time. What were you Where were you? Well, all of that. Super Rugby final. A couple of old grunters joined us on the show today. Liam Messam and Ali Williams. Between them, 3 Super Rugby titles. Cole Forbes off the bench for the Blues. We had him on the show as well. Costo's Corner. Jason was live. We played What Is More Chance of Happening. We did the tie at 5. So essentially what this podcast is about 45 minutes. We have highlights and snippets of the interviews and some of the ranting and raving that takes place on the show as well. And it always kicks off with one of those. It's called a sermon. Tablets in hand. I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. Hey, Mike Hesson, leave it out, mate. Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Get used to it and get over it. That's the message to all of us fans, from former Black Caps coach Mike Hesson to any opposition around Kane Williamson's decision to choose T20 leagues over playing for his country. So thanks, Mike, but no thanks. You, like everyone else, are fully entitled to your own views on all of this, but please don't tell me what to think and don't tell me how I should feel. I've been supporting this cricket team since before you were born, mate, and it irks me that these privileged multi-millionaire players get to choose when and if they can be bothered to play for New Zealand. And I'm not going to change my mind on that. Again, let me reiterate, I have no problem with any of them choosing the cash and chasing the T20 circuit. But when it interferes with their preparation or performance when they do deign to play for our country, then I do have a problem, and I'm always going to have a problem. Just like we saw in the West Indies for the T20 Cricket World Cup here. Our players playing the IPL should have flown straight there and put in the practice and prep, not go on holiday with their families. And this is where the compromise doesn't work, and this is where New Zealand cricket have to be firm. Because playing for New Zealand is not a convenience, it's a commitment. So either commit or call it quits. But for Mike Hesson to tell us fans how we should react to this is just insulting. Mike, courtesy of his stint coaching the Black Caps, which was only a few years, remember, lives a very privileged multi-million-dollar lifestyle. He works at the IPL for a few months every year. That's all he does. These players all own many houses. They got beach houses. They got millions of dollars in the bank. Us fans work all day, save hard to watch our team play and demand at the very least that the players turn up ready to play. When that doesn't happen, we have every right to moan. So thanks for nothing. But the last thing I need as a fan is a how to support my team lesson from Mr. Mike Hesson.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
1:11 time. Live cricket going on at the moment. Sorry if I usurp you here, like you're probably going to add this to your news, weren't you? 71 without loss at a run rate of 9.26. The Windies batting first against England in the Super 8s. Dooley first up, then Marlo.
Yeah, you stole my first story.
Well, I didn't steal it. I mean, there's no. I just announced a score.
Yeah, that was my first story.
We'll move on to the second story. Old fake cold. Oh, here we go. Oh, I tell a man that he's not actually sick when he's sick, and look at the reaction. Yeah. Pretend I'm her.
That was harsh.
Pretend I'm her, and I've just said that.
You saw my face yesterday. You saw my red nose. You heard the sneezes and the coughs.
I know. You even spat on the press today.
I accidentally spat on the press while coughing. So, look.
If he comes down with a cold...
You, of all people, should not be criticising me for Anyway, let's get on with this.
Get on with the show.
As you know, screw it. Stuff you, Martin. I'm going to start off with the cricket. Because earlier today, there was a game on that was really intriguing. It was between South Africa and the USA in the Super 8s phase of the T20 World Cup. South Africa winning by 18 runs, 194 for 4. They were after 20 overs. The USA 176 for 6. Game on right now. West Indies 72 without loss after 8 overs. England sending the Windies in to bowl. They won the toss. Keep you updated with that. Moving on to some New Zealand-related news, because we're not in this World Cup anymore, so you can't call it New Zealand sports news. New Zealand football has called in independent facilitators in an attempt to repair rifts in the Football Ferns team, weeks out from its Olympic campaign.
Good Lord.
The move is outlined in a letter that New Zealand Football Chief Executive Andrew Pragnell sent to players after an employment investigation into coach Jitka Klimkova. So these people are so immature and un-adult in the way they go about their lives, both professionally and personally, that they need people to come in to tell them how to behave like adults.
This is how out of control it is. From the moment that those senior players took over the side, remember, this is the most underperforming New Zealand sports team there is. Get on with it. You live privileged lives getting paid to play football. And the coach was bullying me. I mean, this is how they exited Danny Hay, remember? Same thing, right?
Highlanders assistant coach Kenny Lynn has accepted a job with Argentina. He's joined the Highlanders as an attack coach ahead of the 2024 season. He'll depart the Super Rugby Pacific franchise to work under Puma's coach Felipe Contepomi ahead of the Rugby Championship. Now, Contepomi, he's got a brother as well. I can't remember his name. Now, his name's not pronounced Contepomi in Spanish. Isn't it something wild like Rockapomio or something like that? Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I say that, for anyone else out there who played rugby away, because that's how the rugby away commentators used to pronounce his surname. No, am I alone on that one?
You're alone, pal.
No, it's a great video game, okay? I'm just younger than you.
It's a video game. Just stop talking to me about TikTok, mate. I'm not into video games. I live in real life. I don't play fantasy football either.
Also, you were sitting there in your chair with your legs folded. You had your cell phone in one hand. You had the other hand free tapping away on your phone.
I don't get it.
And you're watching TikToks. And the TikTok, look, your algorithm's screwed up because you haven't liked or followed anyone.
No, I'm not touching a button, mate.
No, but you need to like things.
No, I don't need to do nothing. I just need to get off the goddamn thing and dominate my life.
That's how you change the algorithm. Right now, all you're getting is young people, mainly girls, dancing to videos and lip syncing.
I just don't. I am old.
All you got to do is like a couple of sports videos.
I don't have a lot of patience. Sure. But I just don't get it. I just the attention span and the fact that people will sit for hours and hours.
You're not the audience.
Scroll at somebody lip sync.
You're not the audience. When you were a kid,
clearly, mate.
I don't know what was something that kids, when you were a kid, people your age loved. I don't know.
$6 Million Man.
And older people didn't.
These days, New Zealand cricketers earn that every week.
Okay.
They're not bad.
Point is, there were things when you were a kid that you loved. There were things that you loved when you were a kid that your parents and your grandparents hated and said, this generation, what's wrong with them, right? Music was probably one of them, to be fair.
Punk rock.
There you go. Hey, have you seen your favourite singer, Tom York, is coming to Auckland?
Oh,
Tom York.
I hate that wanker. Good God. I mean, he was Radiohead, wasn't he? I went to that concert.
The lead band of Radiohead.
Yeah, he stood there with his back to the audience the whole I've never forgotten it. 1997. At the Tin Shed in Wellington. Anyway, we've got to get on to Dooley, mate.
Sorry. Boxing news, Joseph Parker has apparently packed on 8 kilos of muscle, and he could add some more as he attempts to minimise the size disparity for a likely dangerous rematch with Zhilei Zhang in Saudi Arabia. Big Bang Zhang. Now, Parker beat him, didn't he? But Zhang knocked out Deontay Wilder.
Exactly.
But Parker beat Wilder as well, so Big Bang Zhang. I'll go to the Euros. Germany, the first team through to the knockout phase. Their place confirmed after a 2-0 win over Hungary this morning. Germany, of course, are the hosts. Croatia and Albania drawing 2-2. Scotland and Switzerland drawing 1-1. So Scotland still have a chance to actually get out of the group. Now, spectacular game on tomorrow morning. There is Denmark, England at 4 a.m. Should be a good one. At 7, Spain, Italy. What a game that'll be. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan says that progress is being made on a deal with Live Golf. Monahan adds that with complexity comes opportunity.
Sounds like he works for New Zealand football, doesn't he?
Well, no, it sounds like Mark Robinson.
Sounds like he works for New Zealand football. If it was Danny Hay, it's bullying. If it's Jitka, it's a rift.
All right, you don't like New Zealand football, do you?
Well, I just find the imbalance, Lachlan, to be confusing.
Really strange story. sort of strange, but not really strange, but also sort of strange. I'll explain why. The Detroit Pistons have fired coach Monty Williams after just one season in which they had an NBA worst 14-68 record. Now, the reason why it's not weird because they were so terrible, so naturally you'll move on from the coach. The reason why it's strange, though, is that Monty Williams was 1 year into a 6-year deal. He's still, the firing has happened. The Pistons still owe him about $60 million. So they're going to hire a new coach, but they still have to pay $60 million to Monty Williams. They really didn't want him. That's what's making news, Martin.
Devlin.
Oh, my goodness me!
The platform.
Greg Martin, ladies and gentlemen, significant day, 1987 today. The All Blacks won the Rugby World Cup for the first time. Marto was playing for the Wallabies. They got knocked out by France in the semi-final. Then they lost to Wales in the third and fourth place playoff. He hosts the number one breakfast radio show in Brisbane. It's on Triple M. Marto. Mrs. Marto's been away. She came back. You had Dettol all over the house. She said last week that you haven't cooked a meal. How long does it take to settle back into, the fact you've been married for 30-something years?
For Humdrum has overtaken our house again. While we look at each other and go, it's been a long time, that 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
All good. But by God, has she got some nice clothes. That Paris joint, that must have some good op shops or something, because she said it cost bugger all.
Yeah.
She had hardly spent a cent. And then told me she had an espresso martini one night that cost 60 Australian dollars. Anyway.
Yeah, but when you're in Paris, mate, you're there. You don't cut. You just go, whatever. I'll pay it later. I'll credit card it and I'll pay it.
I wasn't there.
No, you weren't. No, that's actually a very good point, as a matter of fact.
That's what relationships and great partnerships are built on, going together places, but not just going to Paris on your own. And there might be some fractures, I don't know. I have to talk to Mrs. Marto. I hope she doesn't listen to this show.
Super Rugby final is on Saturday night. It's the Blues versus the Chiefs, and I described it as a beautiful piece of rugby irony that the Chiefs stole the final away from them in the last second in the round robin and then handed it back to them with the semi-final. So you'd expect a little gift basket on all the seats, wouldn't you, in the changing room?
I would guess so. Geez, this is interesting, isn't it? This whole Super Rugby Pacific, the whole of the South Pacific, and it comes down to two neighbours about 80 kilometres away from each other. Interesting for the rest of us. Really interesting. Not. No, I wouldn't expect. No, exactly. So, but is it something that will be watched, or is it something that most people will just just look at the result, passing interest? No one here. The Rusted On fans over here will watch it, but that'll be about it, because you just watch. Maybe I'm talking for me, but after years of watching every game of Super Rugby every weekend, I'm only watching my team. Yeah. So yeah. Mate, there'll be some rugby league on in the afternoon. I might be watching that, because we got this stupid Stan, and Kath said to me, the Reds are out, we can cancel Stan now, so I'm going to be rugbyless. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I don't know about you.
Well, we got Origin coming up on Wednesday. Is Queensland excited? Here we go. Now we're talking, right? Yeah.
Now we're back. Yeah. Now we're back into something we like: hatred for people from another state.
Yes.
Therefore, I do understand how much the Blues and the Chiefs hate each other. Mate, it's a circus. Is there a need anymore for them to go into camp for 10 days? So there's big moves here going. Is Wednesday night the right time? The right night? Do we need these players to go and drink beer for 3 or 4 days and then start training? Do the clubs need to miss them? Because NRL's now becoming bigger than Origin. It's a really weird thing over here. Like, the eyeballs will be watching Origin, but people are going, don't we putting too much into these 3 silly games each year? That's getting the attitude now, because everyone's buying into NRL and their club and everything. They're going, you're stealing all our players, you're making them injured, and then our team can't go any good.
Wallaby squad tomorrow, mate. What are you expecting?
36 players, many of whom there'll be a lot of blokes who Eddie took to the World Cup who won't be in their squad. It'll surprise some. There'll be blokes brought back because Eddie went, World Cup's a great place to blood some youngsters. No, it's not. So Joe Schmidt is hard-nosed, and he will fall back on people who can win games now, not win games in 2 years' time against the British Lions. He needs to win tests, because rugby fans need to be engaged. And by God, we need to beat you eventually. So he'll go with guys who are tough and hard and not the future. He'll go with guys who are now. He'll pick form players. So we're loving Joe Smith, but he hasn't done anything yet.
Well, this is the thing, mate. I mean, you got a brand new coach, you got to hope again, and that's what I love because it is hope that kills, isn't it? And
That's it.
Every year, I mean, why don't we just do it now? Okay, let's just get it out of the way now because every year, over the many, many years, you've been so generous with your time with me and that you've always said at the start of the international season, the Wallabies are going to bring back the Bledisloe Cup. I mean, so look, there's no point changing the narrative, is there, mate? Do it again.
There's no one under the age of 21 here in Australia has seen the Bledisloe Cup. It is a mythical thing, the Bledisloe Cup. But this could be our year. Have you pressed the record button?
Yeah, go on.
Mark it down. 2024 with Joe Smith, the great New Zealander in charge, will be the year that the Wallabies will bring home the Bledisloe.
Okay, say it as though you believe it. No, say it as though, come on, say it as though you believe it, mate. Try and convince her. Try and convince Mrs. Marto. So you're sitting in front of her, okay? Look her in the eye, okay, and tell her.
No, it'll be... We've got a crap generation. We've got a pretty crappy generation of players. We just need to get... Mate, we're still talking about Eels, Horan, Little,
I know.
Gregan,
Yeah.
and we're still Larkham. We're still talking about that, and now all those blokes are in their 40s. It's quite sad.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute or so on each. And when the bell dings, we move on to the next topic. Let's talk about today in 1987, how significant that first Rugby World Cup final. Mike Hesson's comments, Lachlan. And Kane Williamson, who held a little stand-up presser there at the airport. We'll play you some of that audio after 3 today. I don't get TikToked. We have to talk about that. I just don't get it. But it's good that I don't get it because I'm not meant to get it, am I? I'm of the generation that is just sitting there looking at this as weird and confused and going, why on earth? But I do want to make a couple of comments about it in terms of the attention span deficit syndrome, which it is causing amongst your generation. Patrick Tuipulotu, Paddy T, medial ligament tear in the quarterfinal versus the Drua, and he's back to play this final. Lazarus has not risen from his deathbed like Paddy T just has. The Euros, the Germans are looking absolutely fantastic. Raphael Fente/Davies. Have you heard this story about the young French swimmer who just qualified for the Olympics and then injured himself celebrating afterwards and isn't going? And will the Oilers go 7 if we get time to talk some ice hockey? Let's go back to 1987, though. Obviously, you weren't born. It's a major moment. It's such a significant moment in world rugby history because this was a really fledgling tournament. The sport was largely amateur, and I say that in inverted commas because everyone was getting the cash handouts, weren't they? The brown paper bags and things. We won this tournament. And I remember thinking at the time, this is going to be like the Football World Cup. It's going to be the most significant rugby event every 4 years that's going to overtake everything else about rugby eventually. And when we started Radio Sport in 1998, that year we lost 5 matches in a row for the All Blacks. And I remember saying once on the breakfast show that year that, look, I don't really care about it. I just want us to win the World Cup. That's the only thing that counts. And I remember Sean Fitzpatrick coming on the TV about 2 nights later on Sky Sports saying, that bloody guy on the radio, what a dick he is. What would he know? You know, the Rugby World Cup, it's certainly not as important as the Bledisloe. It's not as important as everything else. It was obvious to me at the time, even in 1987, that once you start having a World Cup, that eventually that becomes the only thing that matters, right? And now, what matters in rugby apart from the World Cup? Because these days we get told, oh, it's okay for the All Blacks to lose because we're building towards the World Cup, don't we?
Yes, agreed.
Is that a shame? It is a shame in a lot of ways for me because rugby also had a whole lot of other stuff which we've lost because of it. The tours, which is just a huge thing that they've given up and given away.
It's not a shame because it's natural.
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious that it was going to happen. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, like
So-
you can't have a World Cup and it not become the pinnacle of your sport.
Unless the sport has a rich history in the Olympic Games. So like basketball's a sport where actually the Olympics and getting a gold at the Olympics is a little bit more of a pinnacle than the World Cup, I think, or the World Champs.
Oh, then the
that's
basketball World Champs.
Yeah.
No, the basketball World Champs are the NBA finals. That's what they are.
Well, yeah, but when it comes to an international event, it thanks a large part to the 92 Dream Team.
Yeah,
sort of the legacy that started.
That's exactly
the gold
right.
medal.
Yeah, became important
the
again.
The Redeem team in 2008,
Yeah.
the 2012 team. No, it's just natural.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know, there's nothing more to add to it.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Patrick Tuipulotu. Now, talking to a young man,
Cole Forbes,
who joined us, he said that they were as shocked and surprised as anyone when the team was announced. What a great piece of news that must have been, and what a boost to the Blues. Will he play 80 minutes? I don't think he will. I reckon that this is symbolic as much as anything else. Not to say that he's going to play and he's going to hobble around or anything, but I'd be surprised if he does the full 80.
Well, he tore a medial ligament in his right knee. He was expected to be out for the remainder of Super Rugby Pacific and the first few All Blacks tests.
Yeah.
That's a good chunk of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if
that's 6 to 8 weeks at
It's
least.
not as if he's come back 2 or 3 weeks early. He's come back like a month and a half early. He's only been out for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
What's gone on?
Well, was it a misdiagnosis to start with?
Did they purposely or publicly misdiagnose?
I don't. Look. Okay, let's just zip that conspiracy theory right now, because Patrick's not the kind of player that, if he's not playing, the opposition aren't going to go, oh my God, he's missing that. That's it. Their team is stuffed. If he comes back, the opposition aren't going to go, oh my God, he's back. Oh, we can't win this, right? He's a really good player and he's a huge part of that team. But it's not like, say, the Chiefs missing McKenzie.
No, well, the Crusaders, missing Will Jordan, or the Blues if Bowden Barrett's still there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's just a great story.
Well, how's it happened?
Yeah, that's right.
What's been injected into that knee?
Well, let's ask Liam Messam about that. Maybe they did the old Waisake Nahola. Yeah. Maybe the old...
Maybe the Kieran Reader, the 2011 World Cup, injected platelets into his knee.
Okay, all right. Don't talk about that, mate.
Why?
Because
it sounds illegal, doesn't it?
It does sound illegal.
Yeah.
Mike Hesson, get over it and get used to it.
Well, because it's a former Black Caps coach, I guess he's telling the truth, right? We've got to listen to him, don't we? Well, us fans are at the behest of the players and coaches, aren't we? What they say is gospel.
That's it.
We listen.
No, we just have to sit there like a bunch of guppies and take it.
I'm kidding. I hate it when coaches or players come out and tell fans how they should feel or what they should say or what they should do. You can't tell a fan how they should feel.
No, I've got every right to not like it, and I'm from a different generation. Mike, if I'm sitting there like you, on the balcony of a beautiful house that you do your broadcasting with, that sky, with that mountainous view in the background, the lake and everything else, at your beach house or your summer house or your spring house, whatever it is, with the millions in the bank and everything else, I'd probably think a little differently about it too. But I'm not. I don't live that 5-star resort lifestyle that you and these cricketers do. This is part of the problem, I think, people, was that these players, they don't live in the world that we live in. They don't. They live rock and roll lifestyles. But the thing, the little glitch and everything that here is simply that they're so desperate to still be noticed on the international stage. This is where I think that we have validity to our argument, because it's like, no, you're not playing for New Zealand. See, if I wonder if New Zealand cricket put their foot down and said, no, that's not good for us, because you're coming back, you're disruptive, you're not properly prepared, you're treating it like it's a holiday camp, and it's not. It's more serious than that. No. I wonder how many of them would actually sit there and then go, oh, actually, no, it's really important that I play for New Zealand, because if I don't play for New Zealand, then I'm not really being noticed on the international stage. And sure, I might play the Abu Dhabi 10s, but eventually the guy might decide that he's got a younger player that's his best friend's mate, and he's going to pick him instead, and I'm not playing for New Zealand, and no one's going to care anymore. I mean, are they so desperate to play for their country, these guys, or is it more that it's because it helps them with their other contracts? I think there's some truth in that.
Yeah, there is. Look, I think that most athletes these days, in I guess my age range, because I'm 26, so I guess the 26-year-old in cricket or rugby or football or whatever is supposedly in the peak of their physical condition, as am I. Mm-hmm. That I just think the mindset of those sorts of athletes is all about themselves, their brand, and it's not negative. It's actually the way that sports has changed, particularly in America. Sports has really changed in America like this, where it's more about.
Oh no, English football's the same, mate. There's no loyalty there. No one plays for a club for 20 years.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm more saying that it's more about the personal brand. That's very much what sports has become now, I think, team sports, and I think cricket is a similar thing where you have these T20 leagues. And look, but I mean, put yourself in the shoes. I mean, being the devil's advocate here, put yourself in the shoes of the players. If you're offered a contract to go and play in South Africa in their T20 comp and you're going to receive a lot of money for it, and the other side to that is that, well, you don't get an NZC contract, and then you talk to New Zealand cricket, go, well, I can still play for you guys for most of the time, but let's just say that these handful of series, white ball series or test series, whatever, I don't play for you. Because I'm over in South Africa, but most of them I do. And it's like, yeah, fine. It's like, cool, okay, let's do it. Like, I'd do it. You'd do it.
Oh, look, I know.
Everyone would do it.
But I'm sick of the victim mentality. Oh, the poor players, they're such a conundrum. We've got having to make this decision. What about us fans, mate?
You can go and say what you want, but you can't. It's like what TJ Perenara said when people were having a bit of a crack at the All Blacks and their poor performance, I think, against France in the opening match of last year's World Cup. And he came out and said, shut your mouths, you don't know what the environment's like, you don't know how hard it is. It's like, no, you can't tell us to shush. We are more strongly linked to this team than you are, in the sense, fans in general, because you've got fans who are in their 80s and 90s who have been supporting the All Blacks, and in this case the Black Caps or the New Zealand men's cricketers,
before you were born, mate.
Since they were kids. You can't tell them to feel and to say things a certain way.
And because I don't like it, I have a right to say I don't like it.
But what Mike Hesson should be doing is saying, this is my opinion, and this is the opinion that that of some other players and coaches, because I've talked to them. Thank you, fans, for sharing your opinion, because by you guys saying things and exclaiming all this and whatnot, it means you care deep down. Because that is what it is. Because we care.
The Germans.
Jeez, you know what's quite concerning is that there is a country in this world that's tried to take over the world twice, and for some reason is still allowed to be a country. When you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. And yet that country is your favourite when it comes to football.
Do you know why?
Because they win.
Yeah, I love the excellence. Me and Lachlan went through today, and since 1970, when the Germans lost in the semi-finals of the Football World Cup, you just go through it, and off the top of your mind, 1972, they won the European Championship. 1974, they won the Football World Cup. Oh, no, the Dutch were the best team then, Lachlan. No, they didn't win. The Germans were European and world champions. 1976, today, the Germans lost in the European Championship final. 1978, they didn't get out of the second pool play. 1980, they won the European Championships. 1982, they were in the final of the World Cup. 1986, they were in the final of the World Cup. Let me go on. 1990, they won the World Cup. 1988, they were in the semi-finals of the Euros. This is a team that, when it comes to World Championships or European Championships, they win, mate.
Yeah, there's something wild that in the space of five FIFA World Cups, they were in the final four.
Yeah.
In the space of 5.
Couple of old grunters for you. Liam Messam and Ali Williams. 3 Super Rugby titles between them. Ali, the last time that the Blues won, which is 2003, and Liam, 2012, 2013 for the Chiefs. Well, it's those two teams going at it again at Eden Park as well. You know, on Saturday night, we caught up with a couple of old legends to chat about the game. Liam Messam joins us again. G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are we?
Well, are you surprised at all about how well the Chiefs played last weekend and that they were in the final? Or were you just expecting that come quarterfinal stage that we'd see something we hadn't seen during the round robin?
Nah, I knew the potential in the group all season. I've seen them work hard since pre-season all the way through the season, and they'll take some really good lessons during the season and have just really grown as a team. And yeah, we lost a lot of experience last year, but I feel like our young leaders have really sort of made their way through the season to find their feet and to get to where they are now. It's not a surprise for myself and a lot of people, especially here at the Chiefs, that we knew the potential of our group.
Yeah, I suppose most people I'd say would, here am I speaking on behalf of no one but myself, would actually think though is that we've waited all year for this, Liam, haven't we? I'm like you. I've been expecting this from the Chiefs all year.
Yeah, I'm saying, we're probably we have really high expectations here at the Chiefs and all of our players. And I guess sometimes we just need to take a breath and just take a moment to realise that they are only young and they need to find their feet. And I'm just really proud of the efforts that everyone's shown over the last couple of weeks. We've still got one to go though. Everyone's well aware of that, but what they've done so far in the season, they can be really proud of.
On this side of the microphone, we try and think of all different kind of things, don't we, and reasons why and stuff like that. And I do wonder whether or not it's not flying under the radar, but perhaps the pressure of less expectation has helped in this finals, the quarters and the semi. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Like last year, the boys, I think, were unbeaten all year. They were stacked with guys like Brody Talix, Sam Kane, Brad Weber. Sort of in this year, they were sort of just flying under the radar. No one sort of came forth. Lost to them at the end, the last 2 round robin games, and we probably weren't the best team all season, but we've just punted the last 2 games. So it's really important that we do it again, because the Blues is a very, very dangerous side and really deserve their home final. They've been awesome all year, so it's going to be a huge challenge for us. But it's going to be a hell of a game.
When you go back 3 weeks ago and all the attention was on the Chiefs' last gasp try, which was meant to have denied the Blues a home final, well then I think in a beautiful piece of rugby irony, the Chiefs have turned around and handed the final back to the Blues, so there should be a thank you basket waiting for every player when they arrive. But my question is, the Blues really out-muscled and outplayed Chiefs that night. So how much of that game do you learn from, and what do you learn from it going into this one?
We've been taking lessons all season, and the last time we went up there to State Highway 1, the Blues got the better of us. This is a whole new ball game. This game, it's again they have been the benchmark, them and the Hurricanes all season, but this just comes down to one 80-minute performance. So you'll be heading up State Highway 1, which is nice. It's just up the road, so I'm sure there's plenty of Chiefs fans in the park, which is sold out, which is going to be awesome, especially for Super Rugby. It's just what rugby needed. I know there's a lot talking about NRL and how big that game's gone, but for rugby to have a sellout at Eden Park, it's going to be awesome. And the two Chiefs Blues rivalries makes it even more special.
Look, for a man who played 104 matches for Waikato and 184 for the Chiefs, the Blues have always been the big rival, haven't they? Auckland or Blues?
Yeah, it's just up the road though. It's something that sort of gets drilled into you when you're a young fella coming up through the age groups, I think, in the Chiefs area and in Waikato, and it's just one of those things that's like I said, beaten into you when you're a young fella. So just one of those things goes up the road. So I'm sure, like I said, plenty of cowbells ringing on Saturday.
There will be. Yeah, I mean, look, we do suspect, it'll be interesting to see, but I do suspect that there's going to be, I'd say at least a 50-50 split of fans. Might even actually be more Chiefs fans there. Damien McKenzie against the Hurricanes, I thought, played his best all year. And people might be surprised at that, Liam, but he didn't need to be spectacular. What he did was absolutely perfect for a first 5. Made no mistakes. His goal kicking was excellent. And I just thought he really controlled that game from the number 10 jersey.
Yeah, I think that's a great word, what you just said, controlled. He was controlled the game and where he needed to put the team in the right places and didn't overplay his hand. And the best thing about that, D-Mac still got that quality of X-Factor where he can turn something into nothing. But the way he can just control that semi-final, putting the ball right in the field, doing the right thing at the right time, was awesome. So he's been outstanding this year. And we just need him to do that again on Saturday, please.
There's battles within battles, and I look forward to both loose forward trios. And your young man, Wallace Satiti, was superb against the Hurricanes. But what a matchup that is for 6-7 and 8-8.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. And it's always been like that, though. Ever since I was a young fella, there's always like the loose forward trios in New Zealand. We're so blessed in New Zealand to have such great loose forwards. The Blues have got awesome 3 All Blacks in there. And we've got, a couple of young All Blacks and one hopefully will be an All Black. So it's going to be another great battle that the fans get to watch the boys run into each other and do it with a smile on their face.
What about Sean Stevenson? Is he okay to go?
I've given him some concrete pulls and given him a big cuddle. So he should be good to go. If he hasn't, then my hug didn't work.
Devlin.
That is a disgusting act.
The platform.
Old mate, Ali Williams, welcome back, dude.
Buddy, how are you, buddy?
Last year you had your 20-year anniversary, so it would have been nice if it coincided with that. But you were one of the last one, amongst that group in 2003 that won it last. We just had Liam Messam on. Liam won it, of course, in 12 and 13. How big a deal is it, mate, as a past Blues player, that you got the final at home again?
It's pretty special. I mean, I think let's talk generally first, and then we'll talk sport. But generally, I think for Aucklanders and the greater Blues area, all the way up north and the shore, it's just exciting to see your team do well, and it also gives an excitement to the city. And we could all do with a bit of energy and a bit of excitement. So,
agree.
On that note, it's just really, really special. And to play at home in any sporting event is pretty cool. And seeing that Eden Park gets packed out in all of a few hours, people love it and they want to see a result. And then our good friends and foes, the Chiefs down the line. I mean, whatever way you want to call it, it's been a pretty even battle over the years, and they're playing extremely well, and so are the Blues. But my heart's with the Blues, mate. I'd love to see them win.
So a couple of weeks ago, when the Chiefs scored that try dramatically in the overtime, 80th minute or something, and there was supposedly no final at Eden Park, what did you feel like then?
Oh, like anything, you're pretty gutted, but there's always hope in sport, right? There is always hope in sport, and to be honest, the Blues probably planned it this way, right? It's that different optimism, and then bang, here we are, mate. Here we are. Liam
Williams is with us, Super Rugby final, of course, at Eden Park on Saturday. Was there any fear in your minds, and these biggest games, Super Rugby finals, World Cup finals, things? Did you have that? And if you did, how did you counter that fear or that doubt that does creep in every now and again?
Finals, you can't. I don't think you do have the fear. I think let's be honest, you're one or two positions. One is that you're the ones that probably expected to win. Two, you're the other one that's sort of an underdog. Well, if you're the one that's expected to win, then you know what to do. You've done it before. The reality is that it's probably a bigger occasion, but to simplify the game a bit more, have your structure and slowly burn them down, because deep down inside you've already been there, you've already done it, and you can do it again if you do not, make critical errors or poor decisions. If you're on the other side where you're the underdog, mate, you've got the best chance in the world, right? You can completely throw everything at it. You can play with a bit of sense. You can play with a bit of know-how, but you can also just go for it and try things, because you are trying to rattle them and turn them off their game, because that's the way that you're going to beat them, as they don't play their best. So either way you look at it, as positive as just being in the finals.
Just for parents who are listening at the moment, and just the value of playing team sports. Again, you got a real kick out of that, and you're so close with a lot of your teammates. They become some of your best friends forever, don't they? So just walk us through that. But how important is that, just in that environment, that specialness of that dressing room? When Richie was talking to you before the final, all of those moments, mate, which only a privileged few of you have, but you have them forever.
Well, I think that I reiterate what you said right at the start of it, buddy. Team sports are a critical part of, my makeup, my kids' makeup, and my wife's to-be makeup. The whole ethos of team is just massive, because when you've got energy, you bring other people up. When you don't have energy, they bring you up. But then there's that element of keeping you honest, keeping you looking at the man in the mirror and going, hey, mate, I can't bullshit myself here. That my team's going to know what I am and who I am and all that sort of stuff. And that's why I love team sports. And then you sit and you say, well, if you're honest and true to each other and you give it your all, people are going to respect you, mate. People are going to love you. People are going to respect you. And that's when you sit in that change room and you go, mate, I listen to what you say, and what you say is it means a lot to me. And Richie and I, mate, we're still great friends, and some of the conversations he had with me were pretty brutal. They're pretty on the nose, but vice versa. And I think that's why we become great friends, because you can tell the truth, and the truth is there to make you a better person, and hence a better rugby player, or a better football player, or a better team man. So this is where it's built on, though, right? The one that you're deep down in the trenches, you've played all season, and for the first time of that season, you can hang that medallion around your neck, that cup or whatever, and you can hold it, and no one can ever take it away from you. And I think that's the very, very special part. I mean, some of the teams I've been in, yes, I've got a lot of close mates, but it's the ones that you've won. It's the ones that you've got to the top of the mountain, and people just can't take it away. So, look, I'm sure Paddy and Doltz and all the boys at the Blues, they're wanting to get there, and they have built a very, very special culture. I've been in and around it of late, and they're honest lads to each other, and it hasn't just come overnight. We've seen the success of the Blues slowly grow over the years, with obviously Leon, and now with Vern. And you look at them as a team; they've got a very, very hard edge about them.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, no question.
there, and you've got your people, Rico and the likes, and his brother, he's playing his last game, right? I think from memory.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
It's special men like that, right? He's come from Ponsonby, and he's going there. And what a way to send him off if they can win that, and what a career he would have had here in New Zealand.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
We need to talk.
Your favourite game, Lachlan?
We need to talk.
It's called What is More Chance of Happening?
Yes!
I present two scenarios. You tell me out of the two what is more chance of happening. England are chasing 181 here for the win. They're 62 without loss after 6.3 overs. Current run rate, 9.54. Required is 8.81. What is more chance of happening? England beat the West Indies here in this game in the Super 8s, or the Chiefs beat the Blues in the Super Rugby final at Eden Park on Saturday night.
Well, given that the live win probability has England at 77%.
Yeah, okay, but during the West Indies Black Caps, I think at one stage there, the win probability was 87% to New Zealand, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was 87, but it was something similar to this, yeah. Well, hold up. Who was standing there absolutely just, okay, I can't say that. It's a bit rude.
Pelvic thrusting at them and gyrating in rude ways, insinuating that we had won that match before it was won.
That's a bit more G-rated than what I was going to say.
Me, yes.
Yeah, and who was sitting there saying, West Indies could get about 140, 150, and how many did they get? They got 149, and I was right. My point is, I'm going to trust the live win probability, because analytics and statistics never let us down, man.
Okay.
Remember that old Leeds United manager? Well, the analytics said that we should be winning these games, and we should be higher.
It
was Jesse Marsh, the
was
American.
it Jesse Marsh? Yeah, but you're conceding 5 goals every game, dickhead.
Well, the analytics say that we should be higher on the table. So I'm going to trust that.
Yeah, but you've lost more matches than you've won, dickhead.
Well, the analytics say that we should be winning these games.
What is more chance of happening? England beat the West Indies here, or Rory McIlroy wins another major before the end of next year?
Why does everyone love Rory McIlroy so much?
Because he's Rory.
He's been cheating on his wife.
I don't say he would be. He's
been cheating on his wife. He's choked at a number of different majors.
Cheating.
Rooting another woman when he is married to someone. That is cheating. Okay?
There could have been.
We can get into the complexities about what we can get into the complexities of what overstepping the line is, but that is certainly the line.
Well, nobody knows that he was getting divorced because they'd grown distant, and there was other.
Oh, that makes it right. Okay, that makes it right. Then we grew distant because I purposely pushed you away.
What did Princess Diana say?
I don't know.
It's hard to have a marriage when there's 3 people in the marriage. It was because Charles was having an affair with Camilla the whole time.
She was having affairs as well,
No, only after he did it, mate.
Are you sure about that? Look at a picture of her and a picture of him, and tell me which one cheated on the other one first.
Well, okay, the thing is, before she died, she told me that she hadn't cheated.
She told you.
What is more
you had her on
chance of
speed dial, didn't you?
England win this, or Rory wins another major before the end of next year.
Rory's not winning a major before the end of next year because he hasn't been able to win one in 10 years, and he's been agonisingly close on a number of different occasions. He doesn't have it. Rory doesn't have it. He doesn't have the backbone. He doesn't have the stick inside his stomach to be able to do it.
What has more chance of happening, and we'll continue to play this after 3 o'clock too, England win this T20 against the West Indies, or South Africa win the whole tournament and break the hoodoo, the choker hold that they put on themselves.
So if they're going to win the tournament, it means they've got to beat Australia and or India in the final, or beat one of them along the way, or beat teams who have knocked those guys out. I do not think South Africa.
They've won 5 out of 5.
Oh, who was in their group?
It doesn't matter, mate. They're all teams that are better than New Zealand.
Agreed.
And we went along there as one of the top seeds. We were the top seed in our group.
Well, we proved otherwise, didn't we?
What is more chance of happening?
I said there's more chance. Oh, it was South Africa winning it. More chance England wins this. Absolutely.
Simon Doull calling the T20 Cricket World Cup in the West Indies. Super 8s kicked off today. South Africa beating the United States. England against the Windies. Dooley on all that, plus his thoughts on Kane Williamson. And New Zealand cricket, is it really possible for players to be able to commit to both, to play in the T20 giggle leagues around the world and for their country? Or is what we're going to see more of what we saw in the West Indies, that these guys are actually going to be playing their best cricket for the T20 leagues, and then they're going to turn up underprepared and not able to perform for New Zealand at international tournaments. Here's Dooley. The big question around the Yarpies or the Proteas is simply, is this going to be their tournament? Because they don't have a great track record, do they? And the choker label is right around their neck. They look as though they did it reasonably comfy today, 18 runs.
Yeah, on a good surface too, Marty. I think that's what's going to change now that we are predominantly in the Caribbean, away from Guyana for a little bit, away from Trinidad, which proved very tricky for most. Better pitches, particularly in Antigua, St. Lucia, and I think in Barbados tomorrow for the India game, we should expect a better surface as well. So did it pretty comfortably. Quinton de Kock was probably one of their real concerns, not scoring runs, and Markram as well. So, they ticked a couple of boxes. Rabada was brilliant for them. But again, a really good showing from the USA. It's one of those situations where you didn't think they were going to get through. You thought they might be a little bit too far behind some of these teams, and they've proven to be a very competitive side. Now, I think it's a good sign. So
from here, is it still Australia's tournament, you think?
I think Australia. I mean, India are going to be a lot better coming into the Caribbean side of things. The only thing for India, they've got 3 different venues in 6 days. So, the travel, when they do it, the bonus for India is because the tournament is structured around India time for them. They play 10:30 games everywhere they go, and then they can travel on game day and have a day off the next day before they play. So I guess that's the one area that's a little bit of a bonus for them. But, they've still got good games, and they've got a correct bowling attack. If their batters can find some form on better pitches, they're still dangerous. As I say, I think England has still got wins in them, but Australia do look to be the best side at the moment. But you don't want to be the best side leading into the Super 8s. You want to be the best side in the semi-final and the final.
Kane Williamson, the news, came out yesterday, doing a stand-up presser today at Auckland Airport when he came back. We've been told by the CEO of New Zealand Cricket, Scott Wienert, we've been told by Heath Mills from the Players Association. Also, Mike Hesson has told us that we've just got to shut up, get on with it, get over it, that this is the way it's going to be from now on. A couple of things on this. I accept and I always have that if people want to go and do what they want to do in their life, that's absolutely fine. But the compromise is, as we've just seen in the West Indies, that these players weren't ready to play in an international tournament for New Zealand. And that's my worry for the future. That, look, it's all fine and dandy saying, I want to go play the South African League or the Abu Dhabi Tens or all of that kind of stuff. But when you're playing for your country, you've got to be absolutely at 100%. Now, you're a past player who wore the silver fern with a lot of pride. Where are you sitting with this? I mean, for a start, can I just say, look, I don't really need Mike Hesson with his multi-million-dollar lifestyle telling me how to be a fan. I'm allowed to be disappointed, and I am disappointed in the fact that, hey, so few people in the world have the luxury of saying, I've got a job, but I just want to press pause on that job and go and do another job and earn a hell of a lot of money, but then I want to come back to this job. How many people get that opportunity? So these guys are really lucky, they're really privileged, and as I say, they're free to do what they want. But I don't believe that we all just have to sit here and accept this as this is how the national team's going to be from now on, that these guys will fly on when they feel like it and turn up underprepared to play for their country.
No, I'm with you on a few of those points. So I think, New Zealand cricket have been very generous in letting New Zealand's players play in particularly the IPL over the years. They've the only time they've missed out on maybe the back end of an IPL is for England Test matches, which sometimes happen earlier in the season in the UK. But predominantly they've said, go away, play, feel free to do that. Now, I had no problem with them being at the IPL this time around, but they did not need to go home. That's my biggest issue with this whole thing. If you've chosen to play in the IPL, you've chosen to put yourself in the auction, then you still want to play for New Zealand. You needed to come straight from India to the Caribbean, play some warm-up games, get used to the conditions, and get yourself ready and raring to go for a tournament. The excuse that, I haven't seen my family for 2 months, I need to go home for 3 or 4 days, that one doesn't wash with me at all. And that's the shame of it. And it showed in that first game against Afghanistan. So, as I say, I'm all for players going around the world making money and playing in these leagues. If that's, with the blessing of New Zealand cricket, no problem with it. But this World Cup didn't just jump up on us and surprise us. We knew it was coming. We knew it was happening. And from a player's point of view, you'd like to think they should have made that call to come here straight away and get preparation done, get warm-up games played. And I think from a coach's point of view, I think Gary Stead has lost the ability to tell the players that this is what you must do. And that also worries me. He should have been front and centre saying, no, boys, we're not going home. Sorry. If you want your families in India with you for the last 2 weeks so that you can come straight here, that's up to you, no issues. You can pay for that yourself. You can do whatever you want. But you must be here the day after the final if you're playing in the final, or before the final if you're playing in the semis and have lost. So that would be where I stand on that.
Costo's Corner, Jason Costigan, rugbyleague.com. He does the news 24/7, top of the hour, and joins us every week and goes through game by game, every single match in the NRL round. It's number 16 today. It's a truncated round. Talking to Costo about that. His thoughts also on the 6-7 combo. That has been a big topic of discussion this week for Warriors fans. Shaun Johnson and Tamare Martin. Or should it be the combination that was working when Shaun got injured? Here's Costo. We start tomorrow night, New Zealand time, 10 p.m. It's the Dolphins versus the Storm, mate. Now, me and Kempy on the podcast every Monday, I mean, I've been asking him week after week after week, are the Dolphins legit? They're fourth in the table. They're playing the top team, the Storm. Dolphins are 6-4 in their last 10. They just beat the Sharks. We know the Storm just beat the Warriors. They're 8-2. With all the players missing from Origin and things, is there a chance the Dolphins can even beat this team?
Well, there's always a chance. Good afternoon to you, Marty. Good afternoon, everybody. And look, Tavita Pangai Jr., all we've heard about him is boxing. And, is there anything in him in terms of rugby league? Well, we're about to find out, because he makes his club debut for the Dolphins under difficult circumstances with players missing. That's an understatement. And, with the Dolphins side, the Hammer's missing, Kafusi's missing. There's a heap of players missing. And I got to say, don't forget, Melbourne got a stack of players missing as well. But I'll cut to the chase, Marty. The Melbourne roster is something that I've trusted in for a really, really long time. And when you look at Melbourne, they bring back a player like Pappenhausen. He comes back after, 5 games he's been missing because of an ankle problem. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns in a man-of-the-match performance. And, they've got players like this young Whangalongo who's been shifted to the wing with no Xavier Coates, who's on Origin duty for Queensland. So coming to my answer, I'm confident that Melbourne will win. I think the Dolphins are doing an unbelievable job. The game is at Suncorp, but that doesn't come into it in this game. The opening match for round 16, I'm tipping Melbourne with great confidence, 13+.
All right, Saturday, 5 o'clock, speaking of the Warriors, away the Titans. Titans got that win, of course, we know, at Mount Smart a few weeks ago. They just lost to the Tigers. They're 3-10 against a Warriors side that, geez, the first 15 minutes, you would have thought they're one of the very best, if not the best side in the comp against the Melbourne Storm, but then fell away badly and conceded 38.
Well, leaking 38, and just coming back with that, procrastinating here with what Webster said, his comments have got you talking about this and other people talking about it and fan forums talking about it, but not talking about the capitulation. And if you're the Warriors coach, that's a great thing. That's the other thing I'll make the point, Marty, on your program. It's a diversionary tactic to take heat off what the heck happened.
Yeah.
So coming back to this game, don't lose sight of that, brother. So coming back to this game, the Gold Coast, look, it's effectively a home game for the Warriors. It's an amazing crowd that turns out there at Robina. If you've never been to Robina on the Gold Coast,
I have, mate.
The expats that come out, the expats that come out there and cheer on the Warriors. It's like a bonus home game. But I don't think it's going to count for a lot this week. I think the Gold Coast, you talk about me being angry or the Cowboys being angry. Have a look at the competition ladder. The Tigers are not last anymore. And that honour belongs to the Gold Coast. And David Fafita is coming back from an ankle problem. Look, I think it's a game that the Gold Coast will be up for. They've got some players missing, obviously, with Fodawaker not playing because of Origin commitments, and Cleese Haas. The dogs are barking for the Warriors because they need to respond. They need to respond after that capitulation to the men in purple. I mean, to say I'm disappointed with how they blew that lead is an understatement. I'm sure I speak for so many of your listeners, your Warriors fans listening to your program. So Cleese Haas is in the casualty ward. Fodawaker's away for Queensland, but Fafita comes back. For the Warriors, of course, it's pretty well documented. DWZ getting rubbed out. He gets a holiday mid-season. Not sure if he's gone to Raro or where he's gone, but he's been rubbed out. RTS comes back from that hamstring problem. But guess what? I'll sum up by saying this. The Warriors' best forward is not playing. He's on duty for New South Wales. His name's Mitch Barnett. I'm tipping the Gold Coast 1-12.
Just one more thing on that, and we've debated this all week, is the 6-7 combination. And again, I think Andrew Webster's clever with the distractions and things like that. Kempy absolutely on Monday is adamant that Sean either starts and then comes off, but the best combination we've got is TMM and Chanel Harris-Tavita. I just want to know your thoughts as well. You watch a lot of league, mate. You know, right now, did Andrew Webster stumble across something because of the injuries, and should he keep that combination, or does Sean deserve to be back in that side, and him and Tamati can get it working?
Well, the whole concept, I'm going to be confrontational here, Marty, and no disrespect to Uncle Tony, but if Sean Johnson's coming on and then coming off, he should basically say, you know what, last season was amazing, but this season I need to go and play for Glenora.
Saturday, 7:30, and this is an absolute belter. You've got the Roosters versus the Dogs. Roosters are 8-6. They've just beaten the Eels. The Dogs are coming off the bye. They're 7-6, but they've won 3 in a row, and their last win significantly was against the Eels as well. Two teams that should produce a hell of a spectacle for us.
Yes, and they had to work for that win at Parramatta in Western Sydney. They had to dig deep, and it was a performance of great merit for the Sydney Roosters on the road. But they've got a lot of players missing this week, the Sydney Roosters. There's no Connor Watson. Spencer Lenyu's missing. Angus Crichton. We're talking state of origin here. Lindsay Collins for the Queenslanders, of course, and he provides so much grunt up front. So, I mean, everyone talks about the dinosaur in JWH, but Lindsay Collins, he's effectively become the go-to man up front for the boys from Bondi. Tedesco's playing because he's been sacked by the Blues twice in 3 weeks. I'm not sure how many New South Wales Origin captains have been sacked twice in a matter of weeks, but Tedesco has been, and he's available for the Roosters. That's one big plus for Trent Robinson. But for Canterbury, look, I've got to say, if you've got Matt Burton steering the ship around in the halves with the opposition missing some regular troops, and you've got Kickow coming back on the bench, returning from what I think is a finger problem, I think that spells trouble for the Roosters, and so I'm tipping Canterbury here 1-12, but I think it'll be a ripper.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1-4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.